Shocking upset, Emma Raducanu retires in first round against and Li at Wuhan Open. It wasn't supposed to end like this. Under the blazing floodlights of the Wuhan Open 2025, Emma Raducanu, once the radiant face of a new generation, walked onto the court with quiet confidence. The air hummed with expectation, the crowd swelling with cheers that carried echoes of her past triumphs. But 2 hours later, that same crowd sat in stunned silence as Emma, clutching her wrist, waved a trembling hand toward the umpire and whispered 2 words that shattered the night. "I can't." The scoreboard froze at, and Li lead 7-6-5, 3-2. And just like that, the match, and perhaps something deeper, was over. A star returns to the East. Emma Raducanu's return to China had been painted as a rebirth story. Nearly 4 years after her fairy tale U.S. Open triumph, the now 22-year-old British star had been searching for more than form. She was searching for peace. Her career had been a pendulum. Spectacular highs, devastating injuries, media storms, and an unending quest to rediscover the spark that once made her unstoppable. China held a special meaning for Emma. Her mother, Renee, was born in Shenyang. Her grandmother still lived there. For Emma, the Wuhan Open wasn't just a tournament. It was a homecoming. In her pre-match interview, she smiled and said softly, "This place feels like I'm surrounded by my mother's language, my childhood stories. It feels like I'm meant to be here." The crowd adored her instantly, but destiny, it seemed, had other plans. The anticipation builds. Her opponent, and Li, was no stranger to Emma. Both had grown up on the same junior circuits, trading wins and respect in quiet corners of the tennis world. And now 24 and ranked outside the top 60, had endured her own share of battles, mental, physical, invisible. She came to Wuhan with nothing to lose and everything to prove. The stage was set, the rising phoenix versus the grounded realist. Raducanu's comeback versus Li's redemption. Thousands packed the stands, waving both Union Jacks and Chinese flags, a symbol of Emma's dual heritage, her global resonance. The match began under a bruised purple sky. The first set, Shadows of Glory. Emma's first serve cracked through the humid air at 7:03 p.m. local time. The sound was crisp, familiar, like a memory resurfacing. The early rallies were electric. Emma's footwork was sharp, her returns bold, her timing impeccable. She raced to a 3-0 lead, the crowd roaring in rhythm with her every point. But then came a flicker, a wince, a hesitation mid-swing. Her forehand began to falter. The fluid grace that once defined her shots turned rigid. By 4-4, the match had shifted. And Li sensed it. The slight delay in Emma's movement, the grimace hidden behind polite smiles. She began targeting Emma's backhand, pushing her wide, forcing her to stretch that fragile wrist. The set reached a tiebreak and played fearlessly, striking down-the-line winners that painted the lines like brushstrokes. Emma fought valiantly but mistimed one final return. 7-6-5, and Li, Emma looked up at her box. Her coach, her mother, and the physiotherapist exchanging nervous glances. Something wasn't right. Between the lines and the pain, during the changeover, Emma called for the trainer. She removed her wristband, revealing swelling that hadn't been there an hour ago. The trainer pressed gently and Emma winced. The microphones caught her voice, low and trembling. "It's tightening again. I can't even hold the racket properly." The physio wrapped her wrist, massaging it as the crowd murmured in concern. In that moment, it wasn't about tennis. It was about fragility, about the body of a young woman pushed to its limits by expectations that never rested. Still, she insisted on continuing. The umpire asked, "Are you sure, Emma?" She nodded. "Yes, I'll finish this." But deep down, everyone knew she was trying to finish something else, a chapter, perhaps, or a haunting pattern. The second set, breaking point. The second set began with visible discomfort. Her serve slowed. Her forehands lost depth. Her movement, usually cat-like, became hesitant. And Li, to her credit, didn't exploit the weakness cruelly. She played fair, focused, determined. Yet, even she looked uneasy between points, glancing toward Emma with a mix of admiration and worry. At 3-2, Emma's body finally gave out. On a routine rally, she reached for a forehand and froze mid-swing, her racket slipping from her fingers. The crowd gasped. Emma crouched down, clutching her wrist. Tears welled in her eyes as pain rippled through her arm like lightning. For a few seconds, all of Wuhan fell silent. No commentary, no applause, only the faint echo of her sob. The umpire approached gently. "Emma, do you want to continue?" Her lips quivered. "I can't." And with that, Emma Raducanu retired from the match, and Lee walked over immediately, kneeling beside her. She whispered something inaudible private, but Emma nodded, smiling weakly. The two embraced, a snapshot of humanity in the middle of heartbreak. As Emma walked off the court, the applause swelled. Some fans cried openly. Others chanted her name. "Emma, Emma, Emma." She waved through tears, pausing once to blow a kiss toward a group of young girls holding a banner. "You inspire us, no matter what." It broke her composure completely. She mouthed back, "Thank you." It wasn't just an exit. It was an unspoken goodbye. Perhaps temporary, perhaps not. The press conference. 2 hours later, Emma appeared in the press room wearing a beige hoodie, her right wrist bandaged and iced. Her eyes were red, her smile fragile but genuine. When asked what happened, she sighed. "I've been dealing with this for a while. I pushed through in practice, but during the match, I just couldn't anymore." Another reporter asked if she feared the injury could end her season. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I do know this. I'll always come back. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but I always find my way back." Then she paused, her voice softening. "You can't play tennis with one hand, but you can still love it with all your heart." The room fell silent. A few journalists lowered their cameras. In that moment, Emma wasn't an athlete. She was a human being, raw, brave, and painfully honest. The legacy of Wuhan. When historians look back on the 2025 Wuhan Open, they won't just see an upset or retirement. They'll see a turning point, a moment when vulnerability became strength, when defeat became rebirth. For Emma Raducanu, it was a night she rediscovered her humanity beneath the weight of expectation. She didn't lose that night. She let go. And in doing so, she found something more valuable than victory: freedom. The final scene. Months later, at the 2026 Australian Open, Emma would walk onto Rod Laver Arena again, stronger, calmer, smiling. As she warmed up, her wrist wrapped lightly in tape. A fan in the stands held up a sign. My body whispered enough, but my spirit said, "Not yet." Emma saw it. She grinned, nodded, and whispered back, "Not yet." The camera zoomed in as she took her position on the baseline, the ball girl tossing her the first ball. And for a heartbeat, the world stood still again, not out of shock this time, but out of awe, because the girl who once fell in Wuhan was now ready to rise, not for fame, not for trophies, but for herself. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.